In this video, I'm going to talk about something that is often used in counterfeit Christianity in order to, I'm really trying to understand actually what it is that they're trying to accomplish, or what it is that Satan's trying to accomplish through this false doctrine that we don't know the days, or we don't know the year, or we don't know the signs of the end times. It says in the word that we don't know the day or hour, the day or the hour that Jesus is coming back. But we do know the days because in Daniel 12, we're told the days. We are given literally a number of days until the end. And then we're also told that the wicked are not going to know what's going on, but that the wise will. We're told things that are going to happen during that time. We're told that the man of sin and the Son of Man, or the Son of God, is going to be revealed at a particular time before he's even coming back. And we're told that that's going to happen during the 45 days before leading up to the resurrection. So this idea that we don't know the days, or we don't know the year, or we don't know the signs of Jesus coming back is ridiculous. Luke 21, there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what's coming on the world. For the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, so he has just gotten done describing the things that are going to take place. So we're going to actually go and look at that context. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift your heads because your redemption is drawing near. All right, what are the things, Jesus? Verse 10, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will seize you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and put you in prison, and then you will be brought before kings and governors, and all on account of my name. And so you will bear testimony to me. But make up your mind not to worry beforehand how you will defend yourselves. For I will give you words and wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to resist or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents, brothers and sisters, relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a hair on your head will perish. Stand firm, and you will win life. When you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. How is Jerusalem defined in the New Testament? We're not talking about the Middle East, guys. It's defined as God's people. Even in Revelation, you see that Jerusalem is a bride beautifully dressed coming out of the sky, coming out of the heavens. Last I checked, you can't dress up a literal land in the Middle East as a bride. When you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, when you see God's people being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains, let those in the city get out, and let those in the country not enter the city. For this is the time of punishment in fulfillment of all that has been written. So he's talking to the disciples, but this is not something that happened when the disciples were here. So he's not just speaking of what's going to happen in their lifetime. He's speaking to us. And we've known that, but we don't seem to put this together in our minds that, oh, he's telling us all the things that are going to happen. And by the time we get to Daniel 12, you're going to see that he gives us a specific number of days and what's going to happen in the very end. Literally a specific number of days. So you don't know the day or hour, but you do know that there's a specific number of days, that there is a period of 7 years. You know what's going to be going on during those times. And if that wasn't enough, Gabriel told Daniel, the wise are going to know what's going on, the wicked will not. So if people are saying, well, Carrie's a false teacher because she's saying that these things are going to happen during this time, and the word says we don't know the day or hour. Yeah, dummy, we don't know the day or the hour. We know the days, and that's why Jesus said, lift your head because your redemption draws near. That's why the word says the wise will know, the wicked will not. So if a person does not get that, if they're not seeing that, it's because God has not enabled them to see what's going on right now. It's because they fall into the basket of bad figs. They are wicked. They don't have a heart to know God, and they don't have a heart to understand what's going on right now. And so what do? They condemn God's servant in order to justify themselves. I don't have a problem sitting down with anyone and showing you where these things are in Scripture. I don't have a problem at all with that. But these are the very people who call God's people a cult in order to justify themselves. We had one recently, in the last couple days, as a matter of fact, calling us a cult. And they are running a children's camp in which they teach children anti-biblical additions to the scroll, removal of the scroll. What does the word say about people who do that with children? It says it would be better for a millstone to be tied around their neck and for them to be thrown in the depths of the sea. These who are teaching children to observe Easter and Christmas, the image of the cross, making a business, a marketplace of God. Oh, I'm the cult, huh? I haven't taken anything. I don't preach tithing. I don't lead you back to the law that was already fulfilled. I'm not making money off of you. And I know exactly where these things that I speak of are in the Bible. And I'm not afraid to have a conversation with anybody. Like, I literally don't feel a single ounce of fear that someone's going to understand better than I do. Because it's really not me who understands. It's the understanding that God bestows to me. I am not afraid. I know what the word says. I know that the word tells me that I don't need to be afraid when I stand before kings and learned people, supposedly. God has already demonstrated to me that I know more than anyone who went to Bible college or seminary or, some university that makes God a business. I am not worried about that. I know what I'm talking about, and I know where it is in Scripture, and I can show you. So he tells us of a specific thing that's going to happen. You're going to see the abomination of desolation. You're going to see God's people being surrounded by armies, counterfeit Christianity. Spoiler alert, that's the Antichrist. Counterfeit Christianity, the kingdom of the Antichrist, who receive the mark of the beast. They identify themselves as being of him. And the word says, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains, let those who are in the city get out, and let those in the country not enter the city. For this is the time of punishment in fulfillment of all that has been written. Oh, no, don't tell me about that, Jesus, because we don't know the day or hour. Am I supposed to cover my eyes to the things that God does tell us? Am I supposed to ignore everything else that he's said? I'm not going to do it. For this is the time of punishment in fulfillment of all that has been written. So do you think you're going to be like, oh no, I can't admit that these are the days in which he's coming because, that would be wicked because we don't know the day or hour. This is stupidity. It's utter stupidity. God tells you. He tells you what's going to happen. He gives you a specific number of days, so you may not know the day or the hour, but you will know the days. And you will see what's going on if you're one of the wise. For this is the time of punishment in fulfillment of all that has been written. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. There will be great distress in the land and wrath against its people. They will fall by the sword and will be taken as prisoners to all the nations. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, okay? The moon is going to turn red like blood. The sun is going to be darkened. The stars are going to fall from the sky. Oh no, don't talk to me about that because we don't know the day or hour. We don't know anything. Stupid counterfeit Christianity. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars on earth. Nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what's coming on the world. For the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift your head because your redemption is drawing near. Has Jesus told you some things that are going to be happening where you're going to be like, okay, these are the days. These are the days. We don't know the day or hour, but we're waiting for it. We're lifting our head because our redemption is drawing near. Come on. Does the word tell you that he's going to send 2 witnesses to call you in and let you know these things are happening? And so if I'm his witness and this is what I'm saying, this is what God has told me, this is, the fruit bears witness. I mean, hello, if I'm not bearing the fruit, well, then show me. Show me that I'm not bearing the fruit. Am I making a business of God? Have I made everything accessible to you? Is there any hindrance to the poor being able to receive this message and receive everything that I offer? No, there's not a single hindrance. Is it the heart of God to say, well, you don't have any money, so, this isn't for you. Sorry. Oh, wonder if that camp, if that's what they do. Are they ministering to God's people for free? Yeah, I didn't think so. That's a cult. I've given everything to you guys for free. My books, the recordings, my calls, my texts, the assemblies, everything that God tells me, the workshops to teach you how to live in your covenant, the Bible studies. I have not asked you for anything. And in fact, you know that I sit here, even as I speak right now, waiting for God to fulfill what he has promised in order to take care of me. I have taken it on myself. Not to just give you something for free, but to give of my own resources, of my own time. Who is the cult? You know what the fundamental definition of a cult is? They have something to gain. What's my motivation then, guys? My motivation is to serve God and for the treasures that wait before me. And I know that I experience persecution and slander in the meantime. And I'm going to tell you right now, those who slander the witnesses, the fire that comes from their mouths during that judgment is what is going to condemn. That is what is going to kill those people during the judgment. That is what will happen. That is the way that they will die. People better be real careful about the way they speak. You better make sure that if you are calling someone a false teacher and a false prophet, you better make sure they are, because the word says that is the way that they will die. And if they had any sense whatsoever, they would know the word. They would know that the word says that, and God would keep them from that stumbling block. All right, so we already know that when the abomination of desolation is set up, that is going to begin a period of time of such distress that has never happened since the beginning of time until that time. Now we're going to look at what Jesus says about it in Matthew 24. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. Do you see all these things, he asked? Truly, I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? When will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And Jesus is going to answer them. And in Acts, he does indeed say that he doesn't know the day or hour, only the Father knows by his own, what he has set by his own authority. But here he's being asked, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Why does everyone always cite the other without citing the former? Why doesn't anyone ever say, well, we don't know the day or hour, but we do know these things? Because they don't know. Because they haven't been reading their word. They don't know the word. They don't know that there are things that God has actually told us. There are things that Gabriel revealed to Daniel. Or is only that line of Acts 1 relevant? Is that how it is? Because I know that that's something counterfeit Christianity likes to do. Oh, Revelation isn't relevant to us because we're not going to live during that time. Baloney! We're living during that time. Who dares to remove anything from the Bible? Jesus answered in response to tell us what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age. Watch out that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Have you not seen this your whole life? I mean, you've seen that, right? The beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. All right, so these things have been happening. Again, he's not just talking about the lifetime of the apostles. He's talking about the lifetime until the end. The context makes it very clear, doesn't it? Why is he talking to the apostles like this? As though they're going to be here. Because he's talking to them about what's going to happen while they're here, and he's also speaking to us for our sake. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. Not just the apostles, by the way. This has to do with us. And you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase in wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end, well, the apostles aren't here yet, and the end hasn't come, has it? So he's talking to us. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place, the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. You saw a similar description in Luke 21. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. Okay, this is the 45 days between the 1290th day and the 1335th day. That is what Jesus is talking about. How do we know that? Because he said, when you see standing in the holy place, the abomination that causes desolation. And we know from Daniel 12 that that's the 1290th day. That is when the man of sin is revealed. That's when the man of lawlessness, whatever translation you have. That is also when the Son of Man is revealed. It doesn't mean that you're going to see them. It means that they're being revealed. You're going to know good from evil. You're going to know what has been doing all of this behind the scenes. And you're going to see God's glory, and you're going to see his power, and you're going to see him take away the reign of the Antichrist. Now, it doesn't mean the Antichrist won't still have power at that time, because God's people will be dying. They will be forced to either take the mark of the beast or worship its image. And you're going to need to stand until the end, or you will not be saved. If you receive the mark of the beast, that's it for you. There's no other chance. But also, you can't understand this as being some sort of a statue. You can't understand it as something that you're literally going to see with your carnality. You're the temple. You're the holy place. Do you see the Spirit operating in other people? Did you see some sort of a shift when COVID happened? You should have. If you are one of the wise, then you should have been able to see a shift. If you didn't, you better go return to God, because something is wrong. So you can see something standing in the place where it ought not be. And Jesus has already told us that it's not what goes into the body, it's what comes out of the heart, out of the mouth, because it's coming from the heart. That's what defiles a person. No one's going to hold you down and put a chip or a tattoo or, some goofy ash cross on your forehead. It's what's coming out of your heart. Now, if you have an ash cross on your forehead, we know what's coming from your heart. You do not love truth, because that is an image. And you don't even have the sense to realize that it's on your forehead. And that very image in Ezekiel 8, when walking through the temple, you're told from the very beginning that you're about to see the idol that provokes to jealousy, the abomination of desolation. You're about to see it. And by the end of the chapter, you see that they're talking about Tammuz, and they're talking about bowing to the sun. And Tammuz is his image, that image of the cross that was set up by Constantine the Fake in the harlot Catholic Church. He's also a sun god. If that is the image that's set up in your heart, that's what you're bowing down to, you don't have a chance. God said, don't set up an image. You think he might have known what was going to happen in the end when he said that? Do you think he might have known that when counterfeit Christianity rose, when that kingdom rose through Constantine and the harlot Catholic Church, do you think he might have known that he was going to set up an image, and that the people who actually love him would say, no, we're not going to, that's an image. Nope, not going to do it. Well, that image is representative. If you go on Google and you look it up, it's, they'll tell you that this is a symbol, right? They'll never use the word image. This is a symbol of Christianity. No, it's not. This is an image of counterfeit Christianity. Some might even say it's an image of a cult. All right, so Jesus goes on to say that if those days, those 45 days, had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here's the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I've told you ahead of time. So if anyone, okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to Daniel 12. Let's just back up a little bit to Daniel 9:27, just to refresh your memory on what we're talking about here. In Daniel 9:27, everybody knows that this is the Antichrist. We all know. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1:7. By the way, the Antichrist is a system. It is a kingdom that is described in Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Revelation 13, Revelation 17. It is a kingdom, and in Revelation 17, we know that this kingdom has been here before, because it says it was, now is not, but will rise again. I don't think that there's any human being who's been here before who's going to rise, all these years later. No, it's not Trump or Biden or Obama. It's described as a kingdom. In Daniel 2, it's the fifth kingdom. In Daniel 7, it's the fifth kingdom. It is the kingdom of papal Rome. And we know what kingdom we're starting with. We're starting with Babylon, because that's what we were told in Daniel 2. Babylon fell to Medo-Persia fell to Greece fell to pagan Rome fell to papal Rome. There's number 5. Same kingdoms through and through, all the way to Revelation 13 and Revelation 17. In Revelation 17, you see that there are 8 kingdoms, and the 8th one is one of the 7, But from the perspective of John, who is in the sixth kingdom at that time of the vision, within the vision, not like in real life, but within the vision, he's in the kingdom of number 6. And so now you know that it's even further reduced. It's one of the 5. Well, pagan Rome was brought down by atheistic communism through Napoleon. Communism was brought down with the help of the Pope and the United States. There's your false prophet. The United States testifying to this harlot Catholic Church. The 8th kingdom is that harlot Catholic Church and the prostitutes that bore out of her. Babylon the Great and the prostitutes that bore out of her, that's how she's described in Revelation 17. It's also how that kingdom is being described in Daniel 2, inherent in the 10 toes that are coming out of her. Okay, so that's your harlot riding the beast. That's papal Rome. Your Antichrist is Babylon the Great and the prostitutes that bore out of her. Everybody wants to talk about Babylon the Great. No one wants to ever mention that there are prostitutes that bore out of her. Who are they? Those who continue in her prostitutions. That's why they're called prostitutes. God never said reform. He said return. All throughout his word, that's what he's talking about. Return. He never said reform. He never said follow, a human being and call yourself Lutheran, Calvinist, Wesleyan. That's the name you want on your forehead. That's your choice. That's not the name of Christ. These people went off and did their own thing for their own glory. They did not lead you back to Christ. Even Paul, during his time, said, you should not be saying that you follow Cephas or Apollos or Paul. Who's Paul? Was I crucified for you? I planted the seed, Apollos watered it. Only God's been making it grow. He made that correction. He made that clear in the Bible. Why the heck would we do anything else? So now, in Daniel 9:27, you're going to see, it says he. So what are we talking about? Why is it referring to the Antichrist as he? Because Satan ultimately is the Antichrist, okay? The man of lawlessness, the man of sin is the Antichrist. But many Antichrists have come, those who follow him and have his mark. And in the end times, the Antichrist that is being spoken of is being revealed in a system of Antichrists. Those who have taken this mark, who are taking this mark of the beast, okay? A mark is like a branding. It tells you to whom you belong. That branding is not occurring on your rear this time, right? Like with cattle. This branding is occurring in your heart, and it's coming out of your right hand, your forehead, and your mouth. Your right hand representing your deeds, your forehead representing your thoughts and beliefs, your mouth representing the way in which you speak. That should be coming from your heart. If there is discrepancy between your mouth, your forehead, and your hands, we call that lip service. We even know in the world that you're a walking contradiction. Why don't we know that in Christianity? I mean, what's going on there? Because it's counterfeit. That's not true Christianity. Christianity says you need to discern the fruit and test the spirit. But again, people take one piece of scripture and they say, oh, I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge. No, you're lazy. You don't want to discern, because that is an aspect of judgment that you are responsible for doing. You're told that you need to discern the fruit. The concept or context of judgment that you are not to participate in has to do with condemnation. You don't get to condemn anyone. You don't get to say that someone right now who is doing something wrong is not going to make it unless the word has told you that they won't. So, what has the word told you about that? If someone's blaspheming the Holy Spirit and they're saying that one of God's servants is a false teacher or that they're doing something by a demon, which I have had people do that, they've already condemned themselves. They will not make it. So I can tell you in that situation, they're not going to make it. They've already condemned themselves. That is the one sin that will not be forgiven. Jesus stated it, and he stated it within that very context. So if someone is serving God and God is doing his work through them by his Holy Spirit, what they have done stupidly is condemn themselves because they claimed that that person is operating by a demon. They are speaking evil against the Holy Spirit and what he is doing through them. You be careful about the way you speak. I'm not saying don't expose. Paul exposed, I expose, but I know that the people I've exposed are absolutely false teachers and false prophets. All right, here we are in Daniel 9:27. It says, he will confirm a covenant with many for 1/7. So this is Satan doing this through this system, through this kingdom that he has established of antichrists. Why are they antichrists? Because he's operating in them. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1/7. In the middle of the covenant, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. I have explained this covenant to you many times on the channel. I go in depth on a video in, I think it's titled, This is the Covenant with Many, or something to that effect. If you cannot find it, let me know and I'll post it for you. There's a covenant that God established with us, okay? Satan isn't just going to show up and he's going to be like, here, sign on the dotted line. Did Christ do that? No, he didn't. Okay, so Christ established a covenant with us in which he said all the way back to 2 Chronicles chapter 7, when I send these things, when I send plague, whatever it is that he's sending to the earth, when I send these things, if my people who are called by my name will turn to me and humble themselves and repent and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I'll return to them and I'll heal their land and I'll heal them. That's part of our covenant. We're supposed to know that, okay? So when we start talking about global warming and Francis of Papal Rome, it has a permanent seat in the United Nations, on the United Nations, and he is putting in his Laudato Si and all his propaganda about how we need to pray for the earth and we need to return to science and submit ourselves to science. This God of science that denies that there's a creator, that says that we evolved. There's your covenant. It's an anti-covenant that's being extended. And so you listen to the way that people speak. If they speak in terms of diagnoses and syndromes and science and global warming, and they're not saying what it actually is, that they're not saying that this is the judgment of God and people need to return. I just told you where that's coming from. I just told you that what comes out of your right hand, your forehead, and your mouth is coming from your heart. You are telling me what you believe. You are telling me that you believe in science, that you believe in a discipline that is man-made, that claims that there is no God, and that you evolved. You don't believe in the covenant that God has extended to you, in which he said, when I send these things, my people need to return to me. All right? There's your covenant with many. And that covenant really started to be pushed within the United States and Europe in 2022 on the anniversary, the 7-year anniversary of Laudato Si. That's when it was decided, and you can go look this up in their archives, or what was being said around that celebration, that they were really going to make, the Catholic Church, they were really going to make this a priority to push. And you've seen it being pushed. I've actually known people who are living in Europe right now, particularly in Italy and the UK, who have talked about, what's going on, particularly in Italy, actually. They're required to get these, solar panels and all of this is going into effect. Submit to the science God. What is it going to do for you to pray for the land? What does that mean? That's not what God said in his covenant. What he said was that you need to return to him. Return to him and he'll return to you and he'll heal your land. And by the way, he didn't say this to pagans. He didn't say this to anybody else. He said it to his people. So if he's damaging the land, it's because of his people. It's because his people have not turned to him. Now, let me explain some things to you here. He will confirm a covenant for 1/7, with many for 1/7. We know that's a week, 1/7, being translated into years. So date-a-year prophecy is well established in the Bible. So when you see in Revelation 3:11, you see that the witnesses are going to die in 3.5 days. That is a day-to-year prophecy. They're going to rise at the same time everybody else does. In the middle of the 7, in the middle of that year, 7 years, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. Okay, well, do we still do sacrifice? You think God's going to reinstitute sacrifice? No. What he's talking about are his witnesses. His witnesses are sacrificing for 1,260 days. That is their sacrifice. We're told in the New Testament that we are the sacrifice. God is he's not going backward, he's going forward. So if this is happening at the end, he's not reinstituting sacrifice. That would be to lead you back to the law and disrespect his son. You think he's going to do that? No. And at the temple, oh, wait a minute. What temple? Is there a temple that's going to be built in the Middle East? No. God has already told you that you are being fitted together as living stones in a temple and that he does not dwell in temples made by human hands. He's going forward, not backward. So, again, the abomination of desolation is going to be set up in these individuals. That is that image of the cross representing counterfeit Christianity set up in the hearts of these antichrists who have taken the mark of the beast. At that temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. Now let's go to Daniel 11. Daniel 11, verse 31. His armed forces will rise up to desecrate the temple fortress and will abolish the daily sacrifice. Okay, when is this happening? In the middle of the 1,260 days into that 7-year period. His armed forces will rise up to desecrate the temple fortress and will abolish the daily sacrifice. Temple is us. Daily sacrifice is the witnesses. This is referring to the death of the witnesses. Then they will set up the abomination that causes desolation. Okay, that doesn't happen until 1,290 days later. So you're reading this and you think, wow, that's like happening back to back. No, yeah, you need context. You need Daniel 12 in order to understand. With flattery, he will corrupt those who have violated the covenant, but the people who know their God will firmly resist him. Those who are wise will instruct many, though for a time they will fall by the sword or be burned or captured or plundered. When they fall, they will receive a little help, and many who are not sincere will join them. Some of the wise will stumble so that they may be refined, purified, and made spotless until the time of the end, for it will still come at the appointed time. Let's go to Daniel 12. At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. Well, at what time? We need to understand exactly where we're talking about. Well, the next sentence tells us, there will be a time of great distress, such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. We've already been told in Matthew 24 that this is the time when the abomination of desolation is set up. It's at that time where there's going to be a time of distress such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. Then I, Daniel, looked, and there before me stood two others, one on this bank of the river and one on the opposite bank. One of them said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, how long will it be before these astonishing things are fulfilled? Now, he's going to start giving you a number of days, so listen. The man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, lifted his right hand and his left hand toward heaven, and I heard him swear by him who lives forever, saying, it will be for a time, times, and half a time, when the power of the holy people has finally been broken, all of these things will be completed. I heard, but I did not understand. So I asked my Lord, what will the outcome of all this be? He replied, go your way, Daniel, because the words are rolled up and sealed until the time of the end. Many will be purified, made spotless, and refined, but the wicked will continue to be wicked. None of the wicked will understand, but those who are wise will understand. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, okay? Daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up. So from the very beginning of the 7-year period, you have 1,260 days, because God doesn't do anything without warning through his prophets first. It's ridiculous when people say that this is happening at the very end. And I've proven this through various scriptures. I don't want to get too convoluted, but I've proven it through various scriptures. Revelation 12 shows us the timing of when the witnesses die. Revelation 9, when the 5th trumpet blows, you see when Satan has lost his place in heaven because he falls from the heavens like a star and goes into the shaft of the abyss, and then he comes out of the abyss, or is given the keys to the shaft of the abyss, goes in the abyss, opens the door, smoke rises from it, and he's rising out. In Revelation 11, you see that when he rises from the abyss, he will overpower and kill the witnesses after they've testified. So, and in Revelation 2 and 3, you see that God is telling the church in Smyrna, the lampstand, the witnesses are described as the two lampstands. So the lampstand of Smyrna and the lampstand of Philadelphia. He's letting Smyrna know that they're going to be thrown into prison for 10 days and tested by the devil. And we know that this is happening after the witnesses have testified, because the devil is mad. He's lost his place in heaven. So all of those places should prove to you when this is actually going on, when the witnesses are testifying. They testify for 1,260 days. In the middle of that 7-year period, they are going to be killed. From the time they're killed, from the time the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. That's a number of days, isn't it? 1,260, 1,290. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1335 days. Now, you have to know that God's people are going to be dying during that time, during that 45 days, because they're either receiving, we've already been told, they're going to be forced to receive the mark of the beast, bow down to the image, or die, period. So they are going to die. We've also been told that the power of God's holy people is going to be broken. They're going to die. Revelation 6 tells us that in the fifth seal. The full number of your brothers and sisters are going to be killed just as you have been. That's what's being told to the witnesses. And Revelation 20 verse 4, the only people that are seen are those who've been given authority to judge and the martyrs. That's it. Those are the only people going up in the first resurrection. Others will be given an opportunity in the second resurrection to be saved, only as one escaping the flames. They will have no inheritance and no reward. But anyone living at this time who receives the mark of the beast, they will not have an opportunity to be saved. Anyone who receives the mark of the beast is going to be thrown into the lake of burning sulfur. The smoke of their torment is going to rise forever and ever. Revelation makes that very clear. So we see here a number of days. So we know 1,260 days, 1,200, and then from that time, another 1,290 days until the abomination of desolation is set up. And then blessed is the one who reaches 1,335 days. God is not saying blessed is the one who stays alive, because if you're fighting to stay alive, that means you're probably trying to take the mark of the beast in order to stay alive. Okay? God is not saying that. He's saying you need to endure till the end and stay spiritually alive, not physically alive, even to the point of death. There's a reason why he said endure till the end, even to the point of death, as he talks about in Revelation 2 and 3. And there's a reason why he says, don't fear those who can kill the body, but only the one who can kill both soul and body in hell. Counterfeit Christianity acts like this does not apply to them. Like they just live in this total detachment from the reality of the actual word. Even Paul says, you've not yet resisted sin to the point of shedding your own blood. Yet means you will. So given all of these days, guys, do we not know the days in which Jesus is coming? Does he not tell us in those days, recognize these things and lift your head because your redemption is nigh? Inherent in that very statement is in those days, he's coming. You don't know the day, you don't know the hour, but you know the days. Because the word has told you the days, and God has not given you a word that he wants you to be afraid of taking seriously. The people saying these things are not being used by God. They want you to be afraid of, oh no, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but that's not what you're doing. You're taking the word at God's word. You're taking God at his word. From the time the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of 1,335 days. Okay, 1,260, 1,290, an additional 45 days. Technically, you could just add 1,260 to 1,335. Boom, you got your time. This does not need to be a mystery to you, because God has given you the information. You don't need to be afraid of taking that information because unstable people in counterfeit Christianity have distorted doctrine. They're going to their end. They're going to blaspheme the Holy Spirit and blaspheme against the Holy Spirit through God's servants. They will go to their end. Blasphemy against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. And then Gabriel says to Daniel, as for you, go your way to the end, you will rest, and then at the end of days, you will rise to receive your allotted inheritance. Okay, so Scripture is real clear. You don't need to be afraid of Scripture. You don't need to be afraid of standing in truth. Now you have this information. You need to sit with it. You need to discern it with God. And now you have this information. Once you discern that it is true, and you've integrated this timeline, and you understand what the Bible has laid out, not what Carrie has laid out. I haven't laid out anything in addition to the Bible. I speak on the Bible. I let you know these are the times that are being fulfilled right now. That's not in addition to, that's exactly what God's prophets do. And the word says that the wise are going to understand. So if others don't understand this, it's because they fall into the stupid category, that bad basket of figs. The wise do understand this, and they do instruct many, and they will be killed for it, and they will be hated for it. Go discern this with God. And when you have discerned it, when this is certain to you by the Spirit of God, now you have something to teach others if they are teachable. If those people, if you discern someone to actually really want truth, Then you have something to teach them. But you need to be wise too. Don't throw your pearls to swine. If people really don't want truth and they're living in wickedness and they're speaking against God's servants, don't waste your time with them. You dust your feet in protest against them. Leave them. Do not throw your pearls to swine. Pay attention to the fruit and test the spirit. Do they want the truth or not? If they don't want the truth, don't waste your time. You will waste your energy, and the devil he'll toss you to and fro. He'll try to exhaust you. God will teach you. He'll teach you that you need not do that. But why not just listen to what the word says? The word says don't throw your pearls to swine because they'll trample them. Thanks for listening. Please go and ask God if the things I'm saying are true.